Normally, when I'm talking about Millennia, I try to compare it to Civilization because, let's be honest here, that's where Millennia took a lot of its ideas when it comes to the gameplay. But not today. Today, I want to compare it more to ANNO. Yeah, you heard that right, because we have to talk about the production chain. The production chain in Millennia is very close to the ANNO series because you have over 120 products you can, well, farm or produce. And that also means there is a big production chain working in the background. There's also like certain merchant chains you have to think about, and many more things which will remind you more of the ANNO series if you have ever played it. But before we do that, we have to start at the beginning. And yes, I will compare briefly again to the Civilization series. When in Civilization, you are finding a forest, as you can see it right here. You know that, well, it's a forest. You will put down a sawmill. That sawmill will now give you production for your city. End of the story. That's it. In Millennia, things are quite different. Yes, you still put down a logging site, which is now trying to log down the forest, and you will get production in your city. But what is far more important is that you are now getting logs in your city. And this is where the production line really starts, because the logs later on can then be transformed into paper, into other wood products you need for wares or for your industry, for your military. Like, there will be quite a bit of things you can decide what those logs will later on be transformed into, right? So you're starting out with logs, then you will decide if you want to create paper with that. The paper can then be used for poets, or you will have a saw pit, which would transform the logs into some of the planks, and so on and so forth. And you can do that with tons and tons of resources, as you can see here in the video. And, well, for what is this for, you might ask? Interestingly enough, in Millennia, you do not need strategic resources. If you have played the Civilization series, you need iron to produce, let's say, certain sword fighters or spear fighters in the Iron Age. In Millennia, that's not the case. You can just always produce the military you need without needing specific resources for it. This helps really so that you're not falling behind, which is always a big issue in Civilization, because let's be honest here, sometimes you are unlucky. Sometimes you are ending up in an area where there is no oil whatsoever, where there is no black powder whatsoever, and you have to start to conquer different factions just so you can get that resource. And it sometimes really sucks, and it's not fun. And this is where a lot of people are also restarting the game, because they realize, well, I don't really have the resources I need here to build up my military. This sucks. In Millennia, you don't need that. Okay, wait. So if I don't need that, why would I even start to do the production chain? Why do I need even products? Well, the answer is pretty simple. A, it gives you resources you just need for the production of your military, like production, not a resource, but the actual production you need to produce things faster, to build things faster, to research things faster, right? Those resources you will get when you are starting your production chain in your city. But there is another very important thing you need this for, and that is the people who live in your city. Because when the people start to grow in your city, they realize, okay, you know what? It was pretty nice that I get some food, that I get some roof over my head. That's cool. But you know what would be also cool? If I could get some interior for my home, if I get some sanitization, if I can get later on some like oil for my car so I can drive around with a car, or I get a computer, right? Because everyone is using computers now. So you need that to keep the people in your city happy, so that then the people, well, reproducing and you have more people to utilize, right? The last thing you want is that people leave your city because it's just hell on earth. So that is another very important reason why you need those resources and those products. But there's also another very interesting part here, and that is that everything you are producing, you produce locally. So let's say you have a lot of oil and you are transforming that oil into gasoline, but you only have that in one city and the other cities don't have that. So in the Civilization series, a lot of the resources are available globally, right? And this is where the game is much, much closer to Anno, because you have to move your resources around and you have to do that with merchants. Yes, of course, you can still use merchants to buy or sell resources to other nations. That still works. But you can also use merchants to transport their one product from one city to the other. And you have to think about that when you are starting to also run a more production-focused nation. So that is one of the big difference between, well, Millennia and Civilization, and why I do compare it more to the Anno series, because that's what you're also doing in the Anno series, right? And I have to say, this really gets me excited because there's so many things you can do, and I cannot wait to see all the products you can actually produce in this game. With that said, we're at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. It helps me out a great deal. Here on the Mole Under Management channel, we are completely focusing on strategy, management, and building games. So if that is something you really enjoy, you came to the right place. Again, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.